Warning. This video is for educational and entertainment purposes only. The ideas and perspectives shared here are based on research, personal interpretation, and speculation. They are not intended to be taken as proven fact, medical advice, or psychological guidance. If you have experienced trauma or are struggling with your mental health, I encourage you to seek professional help and support. Your discretion is advised, as some topics discussed may be triggering.
Have you ever heard of the quote, "Life imitates art"? There's no denying that great artists and great performers can have an effect on an entire generation. It's the reason why the Pentagon has a film budget and the Department of Defense has a long-standing relationship with Hollywood. Artists can influence everything from fashion trends to politics, and some even wonder if they even have the ability to influence the collective consciousness and the mass events that follow. Today, we're going to be exploring the relationship between cosmic events, public performances, and the effect that it has on headlines. On September 7th, 2025, we had a full blood moon lunar eclipse. On the same day, millions were watching the VMA Awards with a spectacular performance by Lady Gaga, who performed a pre-recorded set of her songs Abracadabra and the Dead Dance. Days later, tragic events followed in the headlines, causing mass chaos, grief, anger, sadness, and fear on social media and in the news. Now, I'm in no way, shape, or form saying that Lady Gaga had anything to do with the events that followed, or that any other performers have intentions of causing harm. I simply wanted to look at the energetics of what is happening during an eclipse with our emotions, and also what happens when emotions from the collective energy field are focused on one thing. What I find most interesting about this recent VMA performance is the choice of songs performed and the imagery found on stage. I'm sure we've all heard of the rumors that if you want to make it big in Hollywood or be any type of star, you have to sell your soul. And maybe you've even heard the rumor that certain celebrities are channeling certain entities. I'm not saying that's what I believe. I'm simply sharing different theories that I've heard on the internet and exploring why people think that might be the case. A lot of people who are unfamiliar with the occult don't quite understand the symbolism that they're seeing on stage in these types of performances. And I'm not even saying that the artists themselves necessarily know what kind of symbolism they're putting out there in their performances, as many of them have been called industry puppets, meaning they may not even be conscious of what they're putting out to the masses. A lot of people confuse these so-called rituals with aesthetics or performance art, which may very well be the case with their intentions. But just because someone is acting like they're doing a ritual, what does that mean energetically? If somebody is a great artist and a great performer and they're channeling all of their heart and soul and intentions into the performance to recreate an experience for their audience, are they not still channeling their emotional energy into the performance and doing the same acts that one would if they were in theory participating in some kind of ritual? Would the effects still be the same, even if one was acting and not conscious of what they were doing? Let's explore some of the symbolism in Lady Gaga's latest performance. First, she performed the song Abracadabra, which you're welcome to look up the lyrics to if you'd like. But abracadabra is a term used by magicians when they cast a spell. It means I create as I speak. The second song she performed after that was the Dead Dance. Again, you can look up the lyrics to that song so I don't get in trouble for copyright. But in the song, they repeat the word dead over and over and over and over and over again. On an energetic level, thoughts can become things when we put emotional energy behind what we're speaking. And when people listen to music and they sing along and chant it, they're also participating in the energy harvesting of certain emotions and frequencies and certain words that may have the ability to actually create some kind of outcome or effect. Again, I'm not saying any of this is happening intentionally or even consciously, but I find it a little bit disturbing that her song, The Dead Dance, came out on the show Wednesday, which was the same day that we had several shootings and assassinations and acts of violence in the world. You see, what can happen energetically during an event like this is that not only do you have a supercharged cosmic event like a full moon lunar eclipse, which is when the moon is at her fullest and brightest, when we are most likely to feel emotional, when we are most likely to have some kind of epiphany about something. It's also a time of endings and culminations, and it's a time where more accidents tend to happen. If you've ever worked in a hospital or restaurant, you can probably attest to this, that more events are likely to happen during a full moon. So not only do we have the effects of a particularly emotional full moon, since it is in the sign of Pisces, which is the last sign of the zodiac, a water sign, which is all about dissolving karma, endings, and it's about our spirituality. Not only do we have that emotional energy in the collective field, but we also have a phenomenal performer who people absolutely adore. And she's on stage in a particular performance where she's standing on top of a contraption. And it seems that she is controlling a bunch of so-called dead dancers who are in makeup acting dead doing the dead dance. Now, to me, what that looks like symbolically is someone, the entity that she was channeling in her performance, controlling all of these other entities. Now, some even speculate that it looks like she is controlling demons. And when I think of demons and their effects on human beings, I don't think people are always consciously trying to channel demons. And I don't think that demons have an effect on us in a conscious way all the time. I think demonic influence can subtly slip into our field and our minds when we are consuming certain content or certain things like substances, when we're involved in certain addictions, when we're around toxicity. These are all energy harvest for demonic entities. Every time we are collectively experiencing feelings of guilt, shame, and fear, it is a feeding ground for demonic activity. So on the 7th, during the performance, I doubt that people were sad when they were watching her performance. If anything, they were probably mesmerized by it and engaging with it while maybe repeating words or holding lighters or just simply in awe of the performance they were witnessing. But as I said earlier, thoughts become things, especially when they're supercharged by emotions. And what's happening energetically when there's an event like this, not only on a cosmic event, but also an event that is so public that it's captured the attention of millions all at once, what it's doing is it's creating something known as a pendulum. A pendulum is a concept that was introduced in a book called Reality Transurfing by Vadim Zeland. And it talks about how there's always a balanced force of energy in our collective energy field. So when we are all focusing our attention on one thing, it starts to become stronger and it can start to pull you in. And what happens when there's a pendulum happening is that you lose focus on your own personal wants, goals, needs, and desires, and your energy goes towards feeding the pendulum. So if all of our energy is focused on what an artist is performing on stage, it acts as some kind of energy harvest where our emotions and attention can be supercharging the intentions or the words that are spoken in the song or the symbolism that is shown on stage. What I find even more crazy is that all of these events happened on Wednesday, which is the show. So it's almost as if when the media was reporting this event at the VMAs, Lady Gaga releases the Dead Dance on Wednesday. And then days later, there's tragedies that follow that we're bombarded with on popular headlines. It makes you wonder, is it really a coincidence, or is there some other unseen force that is behind something like this? Or could this just be the result of people collectively focusing on one thing at one time? If anything, for me, it shows me the power of our collective thoughts and emotions, especially when you look back to movies and performances of great artists in the past, and you start to notice that society is looking awfully familiar to things that we've seen in movies for a long time. I've talked about this particularly in other videos about 3i Atlas and the narrative that it may be a mothership of hostile aliens, and how they conveniently just rolled out the show Alien Earth on FX, which is about a mothership that was traveling deep in space that has a lot of hostile alien entities on it. Now, we don't know whether or not 3i Atlas is going to be an alien ship or if it's going to be hostile at that. But if a lot of people are channeling their energy and intention on watching this show, since their emotional energy is being directed towards the show and the actors are acting as vessels to speak these things into existence, it's a collective operation that may create something like that in the real world. Similarly to how an artist can perform a song and all of our energy gets harvested while the artist is speaking and performing. So what do you think? Do you see any kind of correlation there? And let's not forget about the after effects that these tragic events have and the effect that social media can have on our emotions to create a self-fulfilling prophecy and a cycle that continues to feed the pendulum that started it. Not only did we have an emotionally charged eclipse on September 7th, we had an astounding performance by Lady Gaga that captivated millions, followed by tragic events that have also captivated the attention of millions. Smart people are most likely staying off the internet because you've noticed that it feels draining, you're tired, and you may be a little more emotional than normal. And that is because you're an energetic being. You have empathy, you have mirror neurons. So when we are constantly being exposed to this, whether online or in person, it has a definite effect on our energy field. More importantly, what can we do about it? How do we avoid situations where our energy is harvested for something that we don't want to create? How I stay protected so I don't allow my energy to be harvested during events like this is that even if I want to say something and I want my opinion to be heard, I ask myself, what is the value of sharing my opinion? What is this going to do? Especially if I'm just repeating the same thing that everyone else is saying. I understand from an energetic point, it's just feeding a narrative that is going to cause a lot of sadness, grief, outrage, or any kind of emotion in the collective energy field. And I believe that our attention is the most powerful commodity we have. What we focus on, especially when supercharged with emotions, tends to manifest in some way, shape, or form. I can't speak for anyone else, but for me, when I focus on shame, guilt, anger, fear, it tends to be a cycle that just keeps on feeding itself. And I noticed that when I get online during events like this that have created a lot of outrage, fear, and sadness in the collective energy field, it just makes me feel bad inside. And then I find that my energy is drained. I'm not able to participate in the activities that I would normally participate on an everyday basis. Sometimes I even lose the ability to work. And that's even harder for me as a person that works from home. I have to be extra disciplined about how I spend my time and energy, because if I'm not in the mood to create, then it will show on my face and I won't be able to work or put anything of value out there. So if you're anything like me and you're a sensitive, energetic, emotional being, one thing I would do to stay out of this energy harvesting trap is to set time limits for yourself while you're on these platforms, and to really think to yourself and ask yourself before posting and contributing to the collective conversation, is what I'm saying really going to add value? Is it going to be any different than something that a million other people literally haven't already said? Am I contributing to more sadness, guilt, outrage by posting certain things? And if the answer is yes, then I probably would not post and I would just step away from my phone. The other thing I like to do when the emotions are high after a collective event like this is do something creative or do something grounding in nature. Anything you can do to put your feet on the earth, to take a walk in nature, to go stand outside in the sunlight, to do something nice for yourself, like take a nap, eat something nourishing, do a fun creative project, spend time with people you love. That's one way to maintain control over your energy field. Because what happens when we're not conscious about how we are focusing our attention is that it can easily be harvested by these pendulums, especially when they occur on dates like eclipses. And just so you're all aware, we do have another eclipse coming up. I believe it's at the end of September, in about a week from now. And it's in Virgo at 28 degrees, which is really close to 29 degrees, which is an end point and a crisis point. And Virgo is about the body. Virgo is about daily routines, how our daily routines might be affected. So I think it's more important now than it ever has been to reflect on where we're putting our attention and how we're expending our energy. Are we expending our energy on things that make us feel good? Are we using our creative brain power to focus on something that we want to see around us? Or are we using our brain power to focus on conspiracies, tragedies, or to subconsciously be used during these supposed performance rituals? And if you need help with polishing your intuition and learning how to control your emotions so they don't get harvested during these types of events, I just created a psychic development and remote viewing mastery course, which is available at the link in my description. I've included worksheets, a guided meditation, and an hour and a half of video lessons to teach you how to control your energy body and to develop your psychic senses, as well as a list of high vibe habits that support your psychic development and low vibe habits that drain them and dim your psychic abilities. I hope this video has been helpful. Thanks for watching this video. I will see you guys in the next one.
I'll meet you in the